Okay, fellas, so, we went through a little bit of housekeeping with the athletic trainer there, and I know you guys are coming from yoga, but I just want to play a little music to kind of change and set the tone a little bit. If you know the words, feel free to sing along. All right, but seriously, I do have a question for you. I want to know who in here's a baller, all right?
Oh.
Your boy? Sellers, you don't have to raise your hand. I see your truck, all right? And there's a lot of you who are able to go out on the field and do things that are incredible. And some of you have cars in the parking lot that are incredible as well. And so some of your athletic endeavors will help you be successful in business, whether maybe some of you go on to play the next level, whatever it is. But a lot of you guys are going to need to deal with money in the near future if you're not already going through. So we're going to do a little money math to get the day started here. So you got two options. You want to take $1 million, tax-free, no questions asked, cash, small unmarked bills. Or you can take a penny. I'm going to give you a penny on that same day that I give your buddy $1 million. But that penny tomorrow it's going to double. And the day after that it's going to double. So on the third day, now you got 4 cents. Well, who's going to take $1 million?
My million right now. I don't
And who's going to let that penny sit for 20 days? So if you're going for $1 million, go ahead and stand up.
I need all the
Okay, so if you took $1 million, wise choice. If you took that penny to double. Hey fellas, we're gonna vote again. But we're gonna add 10 days. So now do you want $1 million? Go and stand up. That's cash, fellas. No tax.
Yeah.
Or do you want $10 to double for 30 days? Or do you want $10 to double for 30 days?
Hey,
see all that? Let's get flipped.
For 30 days? Abbott, is it up or down? If you chose $1 million, you got $1 million, that's great. But if you let that penny ride and double every day for 30 days, you've got over $5 million.
I didn't invest in $1 million worth out
You have taxes taken out. Now I'm about to go home and try to make $4 million. I'm about to go home and took out $4 million.
So I play a little, it seems like a trick there, and you're not gonna find a bank that's gonna double your money every day. But if you look at the guys who took the sure thing, yeah, they got $1 million. That's great. But those who were able to ride it out and be patient, for the first 27 days, it was a bad idea. They should have took the $1 million. It wasn't until day 28 that it was the right idea. And by day 30, they're crushing that $1 million, right? And so that's we're going to talk a little bit about that today, about investing and money, and about the right time to make withdrawals and additions and all that. So here's my guy Einstein. He was asked, what is the most powerful force in the universe? Any guesses in the crowd? Mind? Oh, that's a pretty good one. Any other guesses? We're sticking with mind. Gravity. Money. Okay, that's so we got mind, gravity, and money. Bradley was the closest. He said compound interest. What is compound interest? Compound interest is interest calculated on the initial amount and also on the accumulative interest of previous periods. Or more simply put by Ben Franklin, money makes money, and the money that makes money makes money. So if you put $100 in the bank and you get 1% interest, now you get $101. You didn't do anything, but now you got a little bit more money. And you let it sit there a little bit, that next 1% interest, now you've got $102.02. And you didn't do anything. You just put the money in the bank and it starts growing for you. No bank's gonna double your money, but if you get like 1 to 2% interest, that's what compound interest is. You put that investment in, you let it sit, and it's gonna start growing like that. In fact, Ben Franklin has a pretty awesome story. In his will, he said, my 2 favorite cities are Boston and Philadelphia. I want to give $5,000 to each of those cities. But those cities, they don't get a penny for 100 years. And so you put $5,000 in the bank, and after 100 years, each city took out $500,000 for city works. So whatever that is, street work, plumbing, this, that, or the other. And there's still money left in the bank. They take that $500,000 out after 100 years, and they take out $500,000. Now they have to wait another 100 years. So in 1991, each city took out about $20 million as a present from Ben Franklin 200 years prior. If you look at that bottom bullet there, $10,000 became over $40 million. That's compound interest. That's the power of investing. So guys, you're probably starting to get the theme today, is that we're going to talk about sleep, right? Because to me, in my mind, I see sleep and this financial stuff, it's really similar. You know, when you put your money in the bank, you're not using it, you're letting it sit, and you're letting it grow on its own. That's so similar to sleep. You're not using your body, you're just setting it down, letting it rest. But while you're sleeping, great things happen. Your body gets better, your mind gets better, you learn things, your body grows stronger. You don't grow stronger in the weight room or on the field, you get beat up. But when you go to sleep, you grow and you repair. It's that little interest, right? It's the same thing as what we were just talking about a couple slides back. When you sleep, you get a little bit better. And if you can sleep regularly, you're going to get a little bit better until that 28th day when now you're standing out. You've really gotten better. So I look at a bad night's sleep as the guys who took $1 million. They wanted to chase women or go to a party or stay up playing video games or go on Instagram or whatever it is. But the guys who are strict about their bedtime, they took that magic penny and they let it wait for 30 days. And now they got the best investment, right? So that's how I look at it. So going back to our guy Ben Franklin, who's on the $100 bill, if you guys haven't seen him lately. You know, by the time I was 18, maybe 19, I knew almost nothing about sleep. And I was into working out and bodybuilding and all this stuff, and you know, I thought I was starting to know how to eat right, but I didn't really know sleep was that important. Basically, the only thing I knew about sleep was a quote that I had heard in my family and in my youth, is that early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. And you know, that was something my parents said. That was in one ear and out the other. I was a terrible sleeper as a teenager. Even as a kid, I had bad insomnia. I would have trouble staying up too late, have trouble falling asleep. I'd wake up in the middle of the night. And so for me, sleep's kind of like it's almost like an old friend. You know, it's somebody I haven't seen in a long time. I would go long periods of really bad sleeping in high school during the school years. I wouldn't be able to fall asleep until like 1 or 2 a.m. and then I'd get back up at 5 and 6 a.m. to go to school. And then I'd go to classes and I'd be falling asleep. My grades suffered, and it was not a good time as sucked. But I look back at that and I think, gosh, we got so many guys, so many athletes here. I doubt they're all good sleepers. If I can get a couple of you sleeping better, there's going to be so many benefits, and we're going to talk about that a lot today. Looking at this quote here, I do want you to be sleeping better. I want you to be healthy. I want your bodies to feel better. I want your minds to work. I don't want you guys getting sick. I want you to be wealthy. And we've talked about money today, and I got to tell you guys, I'm not concerned about your bank accounts. When I talk about wealth and money, I'm talking about getting money. I'm talking about being successful in whatever you're trying to do. I'm talking about getting good grades, getting your degree, getting a job, scoring touchdowns, winning games, winning national championship. I just want you to be successful. I could care less how padded your wallet is. I want you guys to be successful in every way that you wish to be. And I believe that sleep will help you do that. As far as being wise, we'll talk a little bit more about how sleep helps you make better decisions. So talking about this sleep, I found a quote. I don't read a whole lot of Shakespeare or go to the theater that much, but I do know a quote pulled out of some of the writings of Shakespeare. And I found that it's predicted that it was written in 1597, so that's 420 years ago. Is that in his writings he says, "Oh sleep, oh gentle sleep, nature's soft nurse." He's calling sleep a nurse. What does a nurse do? They help you get better. 420 years ago, you got some theater guy writing scripts, and he throws in nature's nurse. So even back then, they knew how important sleep was. Guys, I'm going to buzz through a few slides on sleep disorders. If some of this rings a bell for you, maybe to see some help. Insomnia. A third of adults report trouble falling asleep. That most common form is psychological insomnia. That's the inability to sleep due to worry, stress, or anxiety. Worry, stress, and anxiety are things that can be solved. You can see a therapist. You can address problems. You can, if you're an extreme case, maybe you need medication. Cognitive behavior therapy, which is a fancy term for just changing your habits, making an educated decision on changing your habits. Improve sleep in 3/4 of persons, okay? So chances are, if you make better decisions, you got a 75% chance of just becoming a better sleeper. And you do that through identifying harmful habits and optimizing your bedtime conditions. Those are things we're going to talk about today. Cognitive behavior therapy is considered superior to pills in every way. In fact, I read a lot about sleeping pills, and I learned just recently how connected they are to disease, specifically Alzheimer's. And if anybody's ever seen maybe somebody in their family who has Alzheimer's, it's really, really ugly. And you guys probably aren't going to get it anytime soon, but if, let's say you get addicted to sleeping pills and you're taking them a lot, there's a really strong chance that Alzheimer's will hit you later in life. And we can go over that science some other time. Other sleep disorders. So I want you guys just close your eyes for a second and pretend you're going to sleep. That restless leg syndrome, okay, your leg's going to move. How comfortable and how falling asleep are you if your legs are dancing around underneath you? So move those legs just a little bit. Just a little bit, moving those legs. So that's restless leg syndrome. And just relax, you're trying to fall asleep. And just as you're about to fall asleep, boom! That's exploding head syndrome. That people who are trying to fall asleep, they have a weird neurological issue. And just as they're falling asleep, they get an exploding noise in their ears. So some more issues with sleep, guys. So if you're struggling with sleep, you're not the only one. Over 40% of Americans get less than 7 hours of sleep per night. And there's something that's going on. It's a little bit more prevalent in Asia from what I've read, but it's called death from overwork. And the Japanese have a term for it called karoshi. these are people that are working, they're in that rat race. They're chasing money and success so hard that they're sacrificing sleep over and over again. And eventually it catches up to them, and death from overwork can occur from just organs shutting down. A lot of people are going about their daily lives, and then they commit suicide. There's no build-up to it or anything like that, but they're just so worn out, but at some point their brain faculties just take a really perverse turn for the worse. I don't know if I'll get to this bullet. I don't know if I'll get to this bullet today, but actually I just read that because of decreased sleep over the years, they said that there's a measurable increase in the amount of deaths from friendly fire and accidents from World War II to the Korean War to the Vietnam War to the Iraqi War, Operation Freedom. So they say over the years, we're respecting sleep less and less. As we get less and less of it, we send our soldiers into battle, and we're killing our allies, and we're killing ourselves more and more, and they linked it to the loss of sleep. Getting by on less than 6 hours of sleep per night is one of the biggest factors in job burnout. Okay, you know, we're working out this summer, and you guys are doing some practicing, things like that. Some of you guys are taking maybe one class, but when the fall hits, you're going to have practices, workouts, a full class load. You'll be traveling to games, everything like that. You're going to lose time. If you're not getting that sleep, you will run into job burnout. And if you get burnout, A, you're not going to be happy, but B, you're not going to be performing on the field. They link lower income to lower sleep. If you're sleeping poorly, you're not going to go be a rock star at your job, which means you're not going to get promotions and raises and things like that. Get that sleep helps you get that money, literally. They also found some sleep deprivation costs through decreased productivity and increased sick days. And you can read the nations and their billions and $1 million lost down there. Is Warren in here? Sean Warren? Hey, when the man decides to run, he can move pretty darn well. But last spring we were doing timed runs, and he was sick that day. And he was one of the only guys on the team who didn't improve. But testing him and watching him run, he got better in every other way. But he just had a day where he came in and he had like nasty allergies or cold or the flu or something, and he just had a bad day running. Well, if you go to a game like that, if you're sick on game day, we still need you to perform. And if you're a hair slower on every rep, and you're a hair more fatigued into each quarter, you're just not going to perform. More low sleep issues, lack of melatonin. Melatonin is a sleep hormone. It's something your brain produces to help you go into that sleep state. It also acts as a antioxidant compound, so it helps you prevent cancer. So sleeping less increases cancer. Might be an issue for older family members now. I don't want it to be an issue for you guys, a few decades from now. Sleeping the common cold, here we go. So what they did is they put a little virus in these eye drops, and they dropped it into different people in this subject group, and then they measured how well they slept. And that virus, in the people that slept well, that virus was a big problem. But for the people that were sleeping poorly, they all got sick. Guys, you can't get sick on a regular basis. If you're getting head colds and things like that on a regular basis, watch for your sleep, look to your sleep. Mayo Clinic found that people with sleep issues were adding in calories. Okay, so when you're low on energy because you weren't sleeping properly, you're just going to start grabbing extra food. All right, it's like when you're drowning and you're reaching for anything. You're desperate. Get that sleep, and it'll improve your habits and your behavior in the kitchen as well. 80 to 90% of persons with depression or anxiety have sleep problems. Depression and anxiety are manageable issues. They're tough, but there's ways to address them. If that's a reason that you're not sleeping, or you're not sleeping, and then you get that depression or anxiety, it's just a cycle that can be broken. So reach out to somebody if you feel like you fall in that category. I really like this one. I found some information from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. So I think about these guys, and they're dealing with people handling big, heavy machinery, hurtling down the highways at high speeds. And I kind of think about you guys. You know, big, strong creatures running full speed around, crashing into other objects, and you know, performing very finite activities at high speeds. But if you're sleeping bad, how good is that machinery going to be operating with a 20 to 50% decrease in decision-making, reaction time, memory and communication, and situational awareness? Those are things that are related to a study for highway and driving. But can you see how those bullets might really affect a man's football performance, his workouts, his grades on tests in classrooms? Drowsy drivers involved in 328,000 accidents each year. 64,000 are fatal. We even had Tracy Morgan, who got hit a couple years ago. They found that his driver had been working for over 24 hours straight. Do you guys know the most dangerous day of the year, next year, has already been predicted? It's going to be Monday, March 12th, 2018. Well, daylight savings occurs the Sunday before. And every driver on the road will have 1 less hour of sleep. And every year, that's the most dangerous morning on roads every year. Because you have a bunch of people with just a little bit slower decision-making, reaction time, memory, communication, and situational awareness. And as you put all those people together with just 1 hour less sleep, you have the most dangerous morning of the year. In Australia, they kept people awake, and they tested them on things like reaction and decision-making. And at 17 to 19 hours awake, it's about like having a 0.05 blood alcohol content. At 21 to 24 hours awake, your ability to react and make decisions, you're basically drunk. And it doesn't just have to happen in one sitting, as in 24 hours without sleep. If you go a few days without good sleep, you're going to fall into that same classification as well. Maybe some of you guys are, you're not of age to go out and drink and you don't do drugs, but maybe you're a really bad sleeper. They found a study that says that, that disciplined, well-behaved student athlete, he's going to get just as bad grades as the guy across the hall who sleeps like a baby, but parties and drinks and does drugs. Their grades are going to be similar. Those of you with sleeping problems are going to be 47% more likely to binge drink. If you look at that last bullet there, they found that childhood obesity is highly linked to sleep. All right, what is sleep? What is this thing that I'm putting a few of you to sleep right now? All right. You have 4 stages of sleep, and that's what your body's going to be changing. Your body, you lay down and you're still, but your brain goes through different activities. Your brain never actually shuts off. In fact, they did a lot of scans on the brain, and they found that when you're sleeping, your brain is about 60 to 75% as active as when you're awake. Because it's still working when you lay down and you go to sleep. It's working processes. It's resetting hormone levels. It's releasing hormones. It's learning and bringing in memories and creating. When we dream, we're processing things. I mean, a handful of years ago, I was working at a private facility, and I got a paycheck that was a little off. And I sat down with the payroll manager, and I was like, I feel like I don't have enough money here, and I didn't know what was going on, and I go to sleep that night, and I have a dream, and I remember about some extra pay that came in, and I woke up and I texted him at like 4 o'clock in the morning, And I got that money back that I had forgotten when I was awake. And me and him sitting down together, we couldn't figure it out. That night I dreamed about it, and I got more money.
You start dreaming about money, man.
When you guys get into that last REM, that's rapid eye movement, that last phase there, that's when you're really getting the bang for your buck from sleep. And that happens in a 90-minute cycle. So if you can get down and sleep for 6-7 hours, you might get 4 rounds of that rapid eye movement. And that's where you want to be. If you take a nap, you want to go 90. You want to try to go either 15 to 25 minutes so that you don't go too deep. That'll keep you in that light sleep and slightly deeper stages. Or you want to go a full 90 minutes and get a REM cycle. And that way you don't wake up from that nap and feel groggy. Those are your 2 nap windows. Is lighter for 15 to 25 minutes, or go the full show and go 90 minutes. A little bit more on sleep history. Now we believe that we're supposed to lay down and sleep for 8 hours straight. Well, that wasn't always the case, according to the history books. They used to wake up with the sun, work all day, hunt, gather, farm, whatever it was, and then at nighttime you could light fires and have candles and things like that, but you don't flip the switch on prior to the electricity and modern days and everything like that. So in the night they'd wake up, they'd tend fires, they'd maybe do some writing, they'd do prayer and contemplation. Well, I know that I used to have a really big problem where I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I'd get frustrated, like, why aren't I sleeping? Well, maybe don't worry about it. Maybe just do some of these calmer activities, do some writing, do some prayer and contemplation, and just be up for an hour or 2, and then lay back down and go back to sleep for another shift. So, according to the history books, that's how people used to sleep before they had cell phones and light switches and everything like that. So I would refer to that as sleep anxiety, thinking, you're sleeping a little bit, but you think, I should be sleeping 8 hours through the night. Sometimes that's not going to happen. If you're up for an hour or 2, that's not the end of the world. Just try to be a good sleeper on average. Okay, so it's been a few slides since we had dollar bills on the screen. So let me remind you guys, why do we even care? Well, sleep makes you better, fellas. I read about a case study with Iguodala, and he hired a sleep consultant. And over the course of months, here's what they were able to do with his results, his productivity. He raised his playing time by 12%. 3-point percentage more than doubled. Points per minute raised by 29%. Free throw shooting percentage raised by 8.9%. Turnovers per game decreased by 37%. Fouls per game decreased by 45%. And he got himself a pretty sweet title in 2015. What else did he do? 11 days ago, he signed a contract for the next 3 years. He's getting almost $50 million. He's getting money because he's a better sleeper now. Not too bad, right? And as Deion Sanders said, if you play good, they pay good. And that doesn't just have to do with athletics, fellas. When you go into your next job as a paper salesman or an accountant or whatever you're doing, if you're sleeping good, going in and being real productive, if you're playing good, they're going to pay you good. If you're a husband or a father and you're doing a great job of working with your spouse or raising your children, that payoff is going to be a healthy relationship or a happier child, right, Brown? And just to remind you guys, amateur, because that's what we are here. We're amateurs. Well, amateur, if you take that first part of it, in Latin, amor, or in Spanish, amor, it means love. I don't think any of you guys are here playing football right now for actual money. We're here because we love it. you guys are competitors and warriors. That money that you're getting right now doesn't have much to do with your bank account. You guys are chasing success. You're chasing your dreams. You guys get to do something that people, they play video games so they can do what you guys do. So just to remind you guys, we are amateurs. I know I've been talking about money a lot today. That was basically to wake you guys up and get you interested for 4 or 5 slides. And now I just want to remind you guys that amateur, you guys are the most passionate young man on the planet. That's why I love working with you guys. But that's what we are here. But if you play good, they will pay good. Whether that's more, maybe they pay you, maybe coach pays you with more playing time. Maybe you get paid with more wins. Sherry Ma is running an experiment. She's out at Stanford. She's running this experiment with just whatever students she can get into her experiment. And basically the experiment is to extend their sleeping time. And they basically, what they do is I promise I will not touch electronics, and I'll lay in bed. I'll lay in bed in the dark for 10 hours. Every 24 hours I'll be in my bed for 10 hours of dark, uninterrupted, whatever. And she's just running the test, and it's pretty typical results. People are coming in, they're feeling better, they're feeling more rest, everything like that. But she has a few of the test subjects who are coming in, and they're like smiling and they're in great moods, and they're excited and they're talking. And she starts to notice, well, he was a swimmer, she's a swimmer, and he's a swimmer. So she's having all these people that are in really great moods, they're swimmers. And she starts linking, they're really excited and they're in a great mood because they've been setting personal bests. They're setting records out in the pool. And so she realizes, okay, so if I do these sleep studies, the teams are just gonna improve like that. The athletes are just gonna start producing like that. Okay, so think back to that. Some of you guys were staying up, some of you were sitting down for the 30 days with a penny and $1 million. When you start sleeping regularly, at some point, you've made the better decision. At some point, your investment pays off. And that's what she was witnessing with these swimmers. She was witnessing them basically getting paid with personal bests, success. So after she kind of discovered that, she reaches out to the sports coaches and she says, hey, are you interested in having your basketball team or your football team or the track team or whoever come in and do some sleep studies or work with me as kind of a sleep coach? And they are. And she has some pretty interesting results here. So she only did it for 2 weeks with a basketball team, and they got their free throw percentage to increase by 9%. Their 3-point percent increased by 9%, and their mood improved. 3 pretty strong reasons to maybe start sleeping a little bit better. In football, the 20-yard shuttle, the time went down from 4.71 to 4.61. The 40-yard dash time went from 4.99 down to 4.89. That's just sleep, fellas. They weren't training harder, they weren't eating better, there was no new gizmos or gadgets in the weight room. They just slept better. That's like putting your money in the bank account and just letting it get better on its own. Just collecting that compound interest. The NFL started using a couple of sleep experts. They subsequently won the 2013 Super Bowl and came really, really close in 2014. Tom Brady, who you guys probably have heard of, as a big proponent of early bedtime. That last bullet there, when you guys are training more, you need to eat a little bit more to maintain your weight, right? Well, when you're training more, you need to sleep a little bit more to maintain your brain function, your body function. So, Brown, do your kids sleep this much?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like all day. I didn't realize. Coach Travis, John just sleeping all day or what?
Just training lots.
Okay, there you go. Nice. So according to this, and this is from the American Sleep Association or some other, in the age bracket that we're in, guys, 7 to 9 hours is like a minimum. Less than 1% of the population has a genetic mutation that allows them to be a short sleeper. So less than 1% of the population can get by on 4 hours of sleep on average and to be healthy. And I'm telling you guys right now, don't kid yourself and think that that's you. Play it safe. I'm gonna say that guy's not sitting in the room right now. Now with all the training you guys and the schoolwork and the stresses you put your bodies under, you're not that 4-hour a night guy. You're probably not even a 6-hour a night guy. 7 to 9 hours is your sweet spot on average. Occasionally throw a little nap in there, but you don't need 12 or 13 hours a day. You just need to, on average, 7 to 9 hours, okay? Try to be like a 13-hour a day guy, and then the following night, you're doing like a couple hours a night. That's like taking $1 million and then nothing the next day. Getting too much sleep, you're probably missing out on some training time, and you're also throwing off. You have a circadian rhythm. So circadian rhythm is that our bodies, there's something weird that's happened on this planet where over the eons of our planet rotating and rolling around the sun, we have a natural thing that occurs every 24 hours. We have natural highs and lows, and if you're sleeping all day, you're going to throw that off. They've even found in organisms that survive for less than a day, their lifespan is less than 24 hours. They even have a similar rhythm throughout that day, depending on when they're alive. I mean, it's a really ingrained thing. It's cellular, molecular. It's weird. But sleeping too much, and it's also going to throw off your hormones. If you're, like, let's say you were, if it wasn't conscious, if you were chained to a table or something, and you just had to lay there, it would throw off your hormones. Your body wouldn't be working properly. So it's just good. If you feel like you need to sleep too much, if you have like a couple of big sleeps in a row, you should probably regulate it back down to normal after that.
Yeah, because I remember a few times, like, sometimes I overslept, slept too much.
Yeah. So if you're shortchanging yourself, at some point you need extra sleep. You have sleep debt, and you would want that sleep.
So does
Sometimes extra sleep too is necessary because your body's telling you something. So sometimes it might be coming down with something, whether it's mono or something else. And so listening to your body, if you are having to have that huge amount of sleep, your body can tell you something you're not aware of already.
What is the question?
So when you do take a nap, do you count those hours towards your day?
Yes.
I might take a 5-hour nap.
Fellas, here are some quick tips on getting to sleep. Make it dark to sleep. Okay, our bodies are used to that nighttime sleep, maybe going into the caves. When you're picking up your cell phone and holding it next to your face, or watching TV or working on the laptop, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna type this paper, 10 more minutes, then I'll go to sleep. Well, the way that technology works is actually hampering your ability to sleep. That LED light that goes in, it just triggers something in our brain. It prevents the release of that melatonin that I was talking about earlier. Melatonin is what helps us have a healthy night's sleep. Guys, you have to put that technology down. I mean, I've only had a smartphone for like a year, and I'm 30. You guys are, I can't imagine having a smartphone at 18. I never would have slept. I would have been like doing all kinds of stuff. Be disciplined, learn how to put that thing down. Cool off to sleep. I didn't put it in the slide here, but my air conditioning in my house broke 2 days ago. And the first night my wife was like, I'm going to sleep at my parents' house, I'll see ya. And I was at home, I had some work to do. And then what I did is I pulled the fan over, and I had wet towels sitting on my chest. And I was a desperate man, I had to get some sleep. But I took a picture of my thermostat. It's at 85 degrees. In the morning I went to make eggs, and I used coconut oil to make eggs. And it's normally in a hardened state. It was all melted in the bucket in the kitchen. I mean, my whole house was hot. But that sweet spot is 60 to 66 degrees. Other studies have said 68 degrees, but the general concept is you want it cooler as best you can. If you don't have control of your thermostat and you're hot, take a little wet towel, just put it on your chest or your thigh. That's going to help you cool off. That's going to soak up that body heat and help you cool off.
Do you have a recommendation recommendation for how long before you go to bed you should turn off your electronics? What are your sentences?
I've read that 30 minutes, but I've also, I mean, it's basically the longer the better. I know from my personal experience, if there's a night where I shut my computer off and don't watch TV and I read, I go to sleep a lot faster, as opposed to, you know, working on the computer or doing this, that, and the other, or I keep my phone on the other side of the room. A, so that my alarm goes off, I have to get out of bed. But B, so that I don't roll over and like check the time or find a text message from somebody that like wakes me up, not only because I have the light going in, but because they're just like asking questions and I have to like wake up and respond. More on naps. They reduce stress and boost your immune system. NASA, who sends astronauts into space, naps can be used to effectively promote performance and raise alertness. At the University of California, Riverside, they did a nap versus a cup of coffee, and there was a tie on perceptual learning, but naps were better on word recall, and naps were better on motor learning. Motor learning, that's like the equivalent of practicing a skill over and over and over and over and over at practice, and then actually using it and having it to pull from your toolbox when you go in a game. Winston Churchill took a nap every day. Those people who kind of doubted him, made fun of him, he said, well, I'm getting 2 work days in. I'm not lazy because I'm so productive after that nap. I'm getting 2 work days in, or at least a day and a half. So just to kind of recap here, sleep, what are the benefits? Some things you'll get more of, some things you'll have less of. If you guys are interested, Sleep Revolution is it's the best sleep book I've read. I've gone through about a half dozen on sleep books, and that's the best one I've read. A lot of the bullets from today were on that. I do have a handout for you guys today. It just reminds you to make it dark to sleep, cool off to sleep, some breathing methods. Now the research I found, the best breathing method, they had you inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. But I found by the time I personally do a handful of 4-4-4s, I'm basically asleep. So for me, when the time's right, when I do those, that works for me. Some foods that aid sleep, there. I have a free guided meditation for you. And there's a sniffy portion on the handout. Smelling lavender scent lowers heart rate, blood pressure, and skin temperature, and helps you sleep. And as Mo might know, the German FDA has approved the lavender tea as a treatment for insomnia. They say it's superior to any of the sleep pills. And I have more science on that. If you guys think a sleep pill is the way to go, it's not. It's inferior. It's a marketing scam to give people something they really, really want. And it's a bad way to go. In my opinion, from the research I have read. Guys, thanks for coming up. I know you're a few of you are ready for sleep. If you're not there already, grab a handout on your way out. And if you're interested in hanging out for a minute and listen to a sleep script, I've got a couple pulled up and I'll just play them right here. And you guys could stay in your seats so you can lay down for a second. Any questions? No, we knock off. Great.
Do you guys have captain's practice at 10 today or no? No? What?